Hello, I'm Ricky.
And I'm Joe, and this is Season 4, Episode 21 of the Beer and Broadband Podcast, slated to come out on December 6th, 2021. And we're going to jump right into it because Ricky's got a birthday party to go to. We got to get done before that.
The joys of parenthood.
Yeah, we're both parents. We understand. I think the major listeners of this podcast also understand because they're parents. We're all old. This is the Dragon's Milk Reserve. This is Reserve 3. This is not Reserve 1 or Reserve 2, but is the bourbon barrel aged stout with salted caramel. And this one actually has stuff that I can talk about on it. So the final reserve of 2021 is an ode to one of our favorite releases. Our latest legend is aged for 3 months in select bourbon barrels and layered with sweet and salty caramel flavors. The result is a truly indulgent brew, best described as dessert in a glass. 11% ABV. Dragonsmilk.com. All right, so what do you think about this one, man?
I can see what they're going for, and I admire what they're going for, but I don't like it. It is light. In the sense it's still a dark beer, but it's got a very light flavor.
Yep.
There's some sweetness to it. I mean, if anyone here listening has ever had those like Not Your Father's X sodas and things like that, I think it is going for a higher quality, kind of like more artisanal version of that. It's got that all those nice notes to it, but the sweetness on it puts me off a little bit.
Oh, that's interesting. I kind of thought it would go the other way. That was the reason I saved this one for the last one, because you like sweet stuff generally.
I do, but the balance is off a little bit for me. Like, the sweetness is there, but it's not like powerful enough to really be in the front. It's like fighting for top billing with a couple other flavors, which reminds me a little bit of like, you can eat some fruit that's still quote unquote good, but it's like a little bit past its prime.
Okay.
So those like darker, kind of like earthier flavors are coming out with the sweetness. And an apple that's like, you eat that one, it's like, oh, I'll eat this one, I'm going to throw the rest of them out. It's kind of like that balance of like that dark sweetness.
So for me, I totally get the caramel. Like, I drink Dragon's Milk a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say a lock? A lock? I drink Dragon's Milk a lot. I drink Dragon's Milk a lot. And so my favorite is generally the regular Dragon's Milk. Mm-hmm. It's got all the things that I love about a bourbon barrel aged stout. The reserve number 1 was my second like kind of favorite one, and that one was I remember the flavors, and subjectively I could be wrong, right? Because I can't be objective about this because I'm doing this off of a sense memory. I've had all 3 of the reserve like flavors, and I had the Foder one, and we've talked about that one on the podcast also, and then we had the white, right?
Yeah. The
white's my least favorite. I like it.
Absolutely agree.
But it's my least favorite. This one's second least favorite, and it's almost tied with the Foder. Because the Foder has that like funky taste to it, and then I like the other 2 reserves, and then regular Dragon's Milk.
Yeah, I think I can 100% agree with that.
But I love this also for like the experimentation and the fact that they put this thing out there, and I'd never like if I had to choose this in a Budweiser, I'd choose this every time, right?
Yeah, that's true.
It's not like it's bad.
Yeah, that's a good call out. It's not a bad beer. It doesn't, of all the things that we've like had today. We're recording a bunch of episodes all together. It's probably my least favorite. But we had a lot of good stuff today.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. We had a lot of good stuff today. The cider was really good. That Boulevard Imperial Stout was really good. Even the wine. So I think that this is better than the wine for me.
Okay.
And the reason I think it is there's something that intrinsically is like, that's too sweet, right? I mean, I do like the wine. So I'm not like...
No, I get it. That's people's palates.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense because you stay away from a lot of sweet stuff. And so you're going to be a lot more sensitive to it.
Yeah, exactly. And I taste the like, have you ever made like caramel on the stove? Like where you put like butter and cream in it?
Yep.
Like this tastes like that to me.
Okay.
So like, and I never get that. And that's like kind of like a guilty pleasure right? So I get some of that out of this, and the fact that I get that so strongly out of this, I'm like, okay,
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, this is great. Still this wouldn't be my number one pick, right?
Yeah, it is hard to get better than like OG Dragon's Milk.
Yeah,
I've tried all their other ones too, and I always gotta buy like the 4-pack. That's all I can find them in. And I always end up with like, oh, I drank the first one, but I didn't drink the other ones, and they're just in the back of the fridge. My wife yells at me about it.
Well, if you ever get in that position, I know somebody who would gladly take those off your hands.
I think I've got some Dragon's Milk White that have been sitting there for a couple weeks.
I'll totally take them. I'll totally take them. I won't kick those out of. It's like Angelina Jolie. You don't kick her out of bed for eating crackers. You just put up with the cracker crumbs. Yeah, exactly. I can't believe I made that joke. So thank you, Cliff. That's a joke for my brother. So anyways, let's talk about, finish the Dragon's Milk thought.
No, yeah.
If you like Dragon's Milk, experience this. Vote with your wallet. Encourage them to make more of these like experiments.
Yeah.
Because eventually they're going to hit something.
Yeah, and
it's going to be so
much
fantastic.
Personal taste too. Like this might be your number one if you really like that flavor profile.
It's just not for, I think, people that love the original Dragon's Milk. It's not at that same level.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even say same quality. I think it's the same quality. It's just not. There's something that takes that one and like turns that, like, it's like Spinal Tap. You turn it up to 11. This is probably like an 8 or 9. It's not bad. Yep. It's just not up to 11. Hey, did you see?
That time of year.
I was right about to go into injections without needles, and you just like,
boom,
got the cough in. So did you see this thing that the article I put in about the injections without needles with a robot?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I don't know. We've played around with that for like a long time. And had some things that are successful and some that aren't. I don't think I'm ready yet. Me personally.
I totally see an Akira situation happening where they just like blow somebody's arm off. Just like, oh, the robot, it was just miscalibrated because humans are involved with this thing. But at the same time, we have so many people that are afraid of needles. I could totally see that because it's not going to cause any bleeding. It's a micro injection.
Yep.
Like, I think that my wife would be like one of the first people to like line up to do this thing because it would be an option for her without having to go get an injection with something like getting stuck. And as someone who has to keep a needle stuck into my belly all the time, having a technology that's advancing towards something where you're able to do something that doesn't require a hard metal thing being poked into you.
Yep.
I could kind of see that because this skeeves me out. Like having something like it doesn't bother me to get an injection or blood drawn, but having something permanently inside of me, I'm like, whoa, when I think about it.
No,
right?
I get it. Yeah, and I mean, I've had needleless injections before. It's always given by person, and they're nifty. I mean, they work. Recover a lot faster. No real issues.
I've never had one before. I'd be willing to try it, though.
It makes you a little nervous the first time, or at least it did when I got it. This was like maybe 10 years ago, but the gun, quote unquote, was fairly large.
It's like, like the thing that what's his name that came out in The Fifth Element, the bad guy. But anyways, the guy that comes out with that like big gun and he just like walks in.
Like those little mini fire extinguishers.
Yeah,
it was like half the size of that, which is still pretty big. Like it was bigger than a wine bottle.
Yeah,
and it just like, and they were doing a bunch of people because I think it was like a hepatitis vaccination or something like that. So there were like hundreds of people they were doing that day. So like maybe it was so big because it had to have so much, I don't know, built up pressure, whatever.
Probably a pressure thing because the air tank you have to have on there for pressure is like significant. But you don't want to inject air, so it would have to be like a neutral gas that doesn't cause like embolisms and stuff like that.
Well, from what I was understanding of the way it worked was that like the air like pushes the thing out really quickly, and then it like that's how it pierces in and goes in,
right,
or something like that.
Yeah, this is supposed to work the same way, but it's supposed to be. See, on one hand, like I know how technology works, and I'm like, I would rather have a machine do that than a human. They're not going to accidentally hit a vein.
It's true.
Yeah.
Now I have other problems, so.
Yeah. Yeah, but I thought that was just really interesting. I don't know what's going to end up happening with it. Maybe one day.
I mean, we're probably going to go that direction. There's already a lot of surgeries that now get done, while not fully automated. It's a doctor controlling a machine because they can be much more precise and they can be much, they can get at angles that a regular person can't, so that you can be a lot less invasive with your surgeries. So, it's going to get there someday.
So let's talk about AMC. They let you buy movie tickets with Bitcoin. That seems crazy to me.
It's a little interesting. I don't know how I feel. I love that there is now like a mainstream thing that you can buy with crypto. But at the same time, Bitcoin is so volatile and it's so expensive compared to the price of the thing you're buying. It's almost like a bittersweet for me. Where like, hey, look, here's the thing. If you got a Bitcoin, go out and buy stuff with it. You don't have to use fiat currency. You have to use traditional currency. But at the same time, AMC could just be like, this is probably going to go up. It costs us $15 to get something that maybe that thing's worth 20 or 30.
Yeah, we'll just
later.
put it back. People are giving us money, and we'll just put this back in savings.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I'm wondering if their angle on it is like, look, it's been on an uptrend for several years, some very aggressive uptrends recently. So, maybe we can just hold on to this and take that gamble.
I kind of agree. I'm going to be interested to see how this turns out. I don't really know what else to say about that other than I agree with you 100%. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good thing overall.
Yeah, it really is. If I was in that position, I was in the movie theater, and it's like, look, you can take this little bit of Bitcoin you have and pay with that or pay with cash. I think I'd still pay for cash. Because I personally think the Bitcoin is probably still going to keep going up. Or at least, whenever it stabilizes. It's still in the quote-unquote volatile phase for me.
So if I had... I don't think... That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah,
and we'll reserve that for another one of these episodes. But I don't think that right now, if I had $20 worth of Bitcoin, that I would necessarily stake that that's going to be where my wealth is going to be made. Mm-hmm. I don't think that even if Bitcoin got to $200,000, which is, maybe 4 times what it's not quite 4 times, but like 3.5 times what it's worth right now. That's only going to be $60. You're not like out a whole lot, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you only have as much Bitcoin as it costs to like buy some movie tickets, maybe it wouldn't matter as much. But I'm thinking about those people that have a couple Bitcoins, have got a decent amount of wealth in it. I think if you were one of those people, you are probably not.
You're probably not spending.
Not interested in spending your Bitcoins at all.
But I mean, like, since PayPal and other places are making these things, available for people, and then you can spend that without using your bank, even though you're using an intermediary like PayPal.
Yeah,
you're not using your bank. You can still like.
That's true. And what else? I guess that's something I didn't think about until right now. If you're one of those people that's still doing like small scale mining, that could be really attractive to you. Yep. Where it's like maybe you're only making a couple $100 a month in crypto anyway. Exactly. Yeah. So when that becomes, I could have $300, or I could have a free trip to the movie every weekend, like a free date night with my wife. That might make a lot more sense to you.
Yeah.
Because it's not something you're holding on to, and it's this thing you are waiting to accrue in value. It's something you're actively generating. It's just another form of money for you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you don't have to. I mean, you will have to eventually pay taxes and stuff on it. So I'm not suggesting that people should circumvent taxes, but so and one other thing I want to talk about, and then we're going to be done for the episode. Staking coins. We've never talked about that on the show. We've kind of hinted at it before. I've talked about being able to do it, but like Atom and things like that. What do you think is the future of crypto? Do you think it's something like staking, or do you think it's still mining?
Oh, I definitely think it's something like staking. I don't think mining is really at scale. I don't think it'll work. When you start saying this is a real currency, and by real I mean like this is backed by large institutions, government, when the world stops operating on the US dollar and starts operating on Ethereum or something else. Proof of stake is really the only thing that seems compatible enough with our current financial systems to transfer.
Yeah, I agree with that. And full disclosure, because I don't want it to seem like I have some agenda. I actually don't, but someone may accuse me of that if they find out that I have like some coins or state. I don't have enough state coins for it to like make a difference to me. Like when we're talking about the stock market, I have a lot more invested in like buying GME or something like that than I do into a state coin. But I do have some, and I don't want anyone to think, hey, you're just saying this because, whatever. Yeah. I also mine some. But compared between the two, I get a lot more value out of the state coin than I do the mine coin, even though it would take a lot more state coin for me to be able to do anything with. And if I transferred all of my current wealth, which isn't much, unfortunately, but if I transferred it all over to state coins, I would be in such a better place, because I would get a return on investment every month, even regardless of the value of the coin.
Yeah.
I get some money back. And if that coin is worth more than $1, let's say I'm getting back 4%, and the coin is worth $2. That's essentially 8% in like fiat currency.
Yeah.
And some of the coins that I've got staked are worth $30. You do the math on that.
Yeah, I think it's that mentality about it. I feel like Minecoins really treats it more like generating revenue from like a service or a job, or like this is work you're putting in to get stuff out. And granted, it's fully automated, but still, that's not a bad mentality about how to generate money. But that's not a very good way to think about how currency acts as a system for finance, where this idea that, okay, I'm going to take some money, I'm going to put it away, and it is going to become a slightly larger amount of money, is much closer to the way people think of savings. And, how do you take that 401k and turn it into crypto based? If it's, all just based on mining, are you saying you're buying into some mining plan to generate you more money? Or are you just hoping it keeps going up in value? I think ultimately, like, if you were just starting the world over, you could make strong arguments for any of them. But that's not what's going to happen. At some point, crypto is going to start slowly taking over more and more and more of the financial market share, and the ones that's the most compatible. It might not even be a coin that exists right now, but at some point, we're going to find that sweet spot of this is enough like normal money that you can get your grandma to pick it up, and she can swipe her card, and she can understand, while not technically how it works, she knows she's got a quote-unquote savings account.
Yep. And
there's the stuff sitting in savings, there's the stuff sitting in checking,
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think staking is going to take over like a savings kind of account, because you get so much more. It's more akin to what you would get from like the stock market. Aggressive stocks, and especially if you put into them over a long term, regardless of what the stock's value is, return like a higher percent rate, and generally give you more like back in stock. And then if you're looking at like an EFT or something, I totally see that being the way that cryptocurrencies are going. So we'll talk more about that later. I know you got to go, man.
Yeah.
So
got a birthday party.
Yeah. Well, let me end this episode by saying thank you for listening to Season 4, Episode 21 of the Beer and Broadband Podcast. I normally talk about like other stuff, but I'm not going to for time's sakes. So
just who we are.
Check out the Patreon, check out the Twitters. Otherwise, thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.